Coming up on this week's episode, Perez takes victory in Singapore while Max puts the champagne back on ice. Ferrari get their first double podium since Miami. Mercedes have a weekend to forget while McLaren jump Alpine in the constructors. And nobody agrees with Dave. Welcome to the Late Night Race Review.
Welcome back, you beautiful F1 fanatics, to the Late Night Race Review. I'm Dave Jericho, and I'm joined, as always, by Owen Scott and Isidro Gonçalves. This weekend saw the return of the Singapore Grand Prix for the first time since 2019, and it wasn't short on drama, and oddly enough, equal looks of disappointment. Maybe that was just me. Don't forget, guys, though, to hit that like, follow, and subscribe button. We really appreciate it. It was a strange race, this one, but what do you guys make of it?
I always find something to draw from the race that they enjoyed. Like the McLaren lads getting some points. That was a great finish by the two of them. And that Perez drive, absolutely unbelievable. There was stuff here to keep me satisfied anyway. I was happy with this race.
And what about yourself, Isidro? What did you make of the race today?
It was a bit full of drama and not as exciting as it should be. But overall, there was a nice battles. So that kind of compensate the multiple safety and virtual safety cars. But
okay.
One thing that FIA should know is that the tire manufacturer, they spend some time creating wet tires for these occasions. I'm not sure if the FIA is aware of the existence of wet tires, because no point of wait 1 hour.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like I'm clearly on my own here as to on the opinion of today's race. Did no one else, before we move on here, to actually break down this race? I seem to be like left out in the cold here with my jacket thrown at me. Did no one feel like, yeah, there was loads of incidences, there was loads of stuff happening, but did you not think the actual racing part was just dull, though? There was very little actual wheel-to-wheel racing. And usually what you would get from virtual safety cars and full safety cars is great restarts, or at least a little bit of drama from a restart. And we got nothing. Like, it was just flat. That's why I'm kind of shocked you are kind of not. I thought everyone was going to be on the same page as me. I thought we all had shit in our cornflakes, but apparently I'm the only one.
I think there was the restart where Verstappen was it alongside Norris, and then who was the other? There was another one that was alongside someone else on the same restart, and just with the timing of it, we were denied a great restart there. Apart from that, though, yeah, the restart.
But that's what I'm saying. Everything was anticlimactic. Like, every single restart was just like you were building up with the anticipation, and it was just nothing.
Yeah.
All right. That's enough. Let's not. Who's excited for the race review? All right. Let's. Jesus. All right. I better fucking make myself sound a little bit more excited than I am. All right. Let's kick off with the race winner, though. Perez. I mean, he had stellar drive today, even though the FIA really dragged out this one for us. I mean, I thought we were going to have to wait for season 5 of Drive to Survive to find out who actually won today's race. But it was an impressive drive from Checo. Took advantage of Leclerc's poor start. Took the lead, held the lead then for the entire race. I mean, there was moments throughout the race where it did look like I thought Leclerc had the pace over the Red Bull, but Checo was able to hold him off, did a great defensive drive as well. I mean, how did you rate Checo's drive today, Scotty? I mean, he feels it was possibly his best drive of his career. Would you? Well, when I ask you, do you agree with him? I think the answer should be yes, considering he was the one that felt like it was the best drive of his career. But what did you make of it?
It was a fantastic drive, and his first podium in 6 races. Now, that's he's coming off the back of a little bit of a run of bad luck. But I don't agree that it was his race in was it Sakir, where he came from last to first when he was driving for not Force India. What were they called?
You've brought this up a few times. It was Force India, wasn't it?
No, they were called something else at that time. Racing Point. That's what it was.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Force India.
It's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. That Racing Point thing.
But That drive was phenomenal for me. So exciting. All of the overtakes that had everything. Today, he did a fantastic job. He took the lead from turn one and held it. Great drive, but just didn't have the excitement for me that drive had. I feel.
Yeah, today I think the conditions though today were tricky. And he managed to hold on, but yeah, no, I agree. Maybe he wasn't having to show off. It was different. I suppose it was different levels of his ability he was showcasing, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, we just heard, I suppose, only a few hours ago, that he was given 2 penalties, a 5-second penalty with 2 penalty points on his license, and a second penalty was a reprimand. It appears as well that both of the penalties were for breaches of the regulations that occurred under the same safety car. Do you think this decision was right from the FIA, Isidro? I mean, and keeping FIA's inconsistencies now out of the conversation, because we could compare this to a multitude of decisions that are completely different. But what do you think? Just on today's race alone, did you think it was the right decision to give the penalties?
Yeah, it was the right decision, even though it took a lot longer than it should be. I mean, a driver should not wait hours if he actually won the race or not. But the reprimand he got, and then he got the warning, then he got a 5-second penalty. All that is fair and well deserved. But the fact that the FIA wait so many hours after the race, I mean, if they want, they could just make the decision based on what they have, not wait 3-4 hours just to let the driver know if he won the race or not. Fortunately, I think since the Canada 2019 incident, they are aware of not doing these sort of things, of removing the win from the driver after the race. So overall, I think it was fair, the decision they made.
And sorry, do you think as well, now I don't want to put too much of a conspiracy hat on here, but do you find it was convenient I mean, he had a 7-second gap, 7-point-whatever-second gap to Leclerc, and they decided to go with a reprimand for the second penalty over any sort of time penalty, and they went with a 5. I just wonder, and I'm not saying that they did that purposely to let him win. I'm not talking about a Ferrari and Red Bull sort of thing here. I'm just mean, like, did that come into the decision making? It just feels like it came into the decision making a little bit, that it was just convenient that 2 time penalties would have seen him lose the place. 1 time penalty was just enough to keep him within 2 seconds of a win. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it swayed their decision? I'm not talking about conspiracies now that they intentionally did that, but do you just think it was on their mind that it might have swayed the decision? I mean, they are fairly inconsistent with their penalties being handed out.
Yeah, but they were aware of that the gap 7 seconds, so giving the 5 seconds would still give Perez the win. I think, like I was saying, after the Canada 2019, they learned their lesson not to mess up with the win during the race. If there was no gap, if the gap was less than 5 seconds, probably it would be 2 reprimands, or if it was over 10 seconds, I probably would give a 10 seconds penalty. But I don't think they would never strip the victory out of Perez.
Yeah, I'd agree. I just think that they just sort of not bottled it. I mean, because like I said, Checo deserved the win today. I mean, he absolutely did a stellar drive. But yeah, exactly what you're saying there. I just feel that the time that he had in hand sort of played into their decision making.
Dave, but just come out and say it straight. Just say that it's a conspiracy. It's the FIA versus Ferrari. Just let's get it out there on the podcast. Get it out straight for everyone and stop pussyfooting around.
No. I'm going to keep pussyfooting around.
That's what we believe in this podcast, everybody.
Yeah, we toe the line. We dance on the fence line.
No, I'm with you on that, Dave. I'm behind your conspiracy about the FIA versus Ferrari. I'm with you, man.
Yeah, we'll get a campaign going. Don't you worry about that. We'll talk after the podcast.
All right, Sam.
Now, Max Verstappen, on the other hand, had an absolute weekend to forget. Underfueled for the quali session on Saturday, so he had to abort the final lap and ended up settling for P8. Drops 5 places straight off the start. makes his way through the field, then bottoms out on his overtake attempt on Lando, locks up, ruins the tires. Another pit stop has to happen, and then he's working his way from the back of the field again. I mean, yeah, it was one to forget for him. I mean, did we see a bit of frustration creep in from Max today, Scotty?
Yeah, it was there from quali. Yeah, you could see that, and I think a little bit of not even frustration, a little bit of nerves maybe. I think he's on the cusp of a second title in a row, and you could kind of feel that from his driving, and you could see that obviously when he went for the overtake of Lando. I think there's just the nerves are there, and what they should be. In fairness, he's every right to be nervous about winning the title this early on, but. Yeah, it was a hard one for him this weekend. Very, very hard.
I mean, he still finished in P7 as he drove. I mean, it was still in the points, not exactly where he wanted to be. Do you think he might have made his way onto the podium, though, had it not been for that sort of rash overtake attempt on Lando?
No, I don't think so. I think tonight was not the night for Max Verstappen. Every time he was trying to get points, something would happen and he went back a few places. So I don't think that even he had more 20 laps to do, he would be able to get the podium.
Now, are you saying
I don't think he was feeling for this weekend the pressure of maybe he could win today and get the championship. I think it was maybe a bit too much, and the rain didn't help either. So I think tonight was not night. He could just kept trying, and something would happen. A rabbit would just run across the track or something.
So you think just one of those nights, it just wasn't happening. Even if he had have made that overtake on Lando, there was something waiting down the road anyway. Regardless, it was either it was like Final Destination.
Yeah,
if the Grim Reaper doesn't kill you now, he's coming for you later.
he could be alone on the track, and Latifi would show up somewhere somehow, just crash him onto him, and that's it.
All right. Well, I mean, look, P7, he's still in the points, and obviously he's well in the control of in control, should I say, of the title race at the moment. So there's no fear there. Anyway, he had wiggle room for a bad weekend. Someone who doesn't have wiggle room for a bad weekend, Ferrari. Well, look, a double podium for Ferrari, first time since Miami. I mean, mathematically, that keeps their hopes alive in the Drivers and Constructors Championship. Yeah, if anyone wants to buy into that. But anyway, I initially thought, like I said earlier, that Leclerc could have gotten the lead. Maybe there's an argument as well there. There was one or two moments where he could have chanced an overtake, but I suppose given the conditions, though, it was probably better to get the P2 than a DNF at the end of the day. Could we have been looking at a different race winner today, though, had Leclerc not fudged the start, Scotty?
I don't think so. Very briefly, we could see some pace from Leclerc, but those little errors from him again, he was sliding all over the place. I just think Checo was way too strong. I think the Red Bulls were way too strong, and you could see it with Sainz as well. He was dropping a lot of pace. They just seemed to struggle with pace today for some reason.
Do you think? I thought that was sort of the opposite. I thought there was moments where Leclerc was dropping back from Perez, but I did think there was moments there where he was right on the back of the gearbox of Perez, and I think had he have gambled, there might have been a move there for the overtake. Hang on a second. I know actually we're talking about two different things. I'm talking about an overtake and getting the race win, but that's not the question I asked you. So let me go back. Question I asked you though was, had he not fudged the start, would he have taken the win? And I don't know. I think he had the pace, because that's what I was saying earlier. Like when he did have the opportunity to take Leclerc. So had he have been in the front of the race, at the front from the very get-go, I think Perez might have still had the same problem that Leclerc had and struggled to overtake him. That's just my opinion. Like, I mean, it's you clearly don't think the same.
No, I don't agree.
Well, apparently we agree on nothing today. Anyway, nobody agrees with me today, so I'll just
that's what the people want. They want discourse.
Yeah. All right. Fuck it. Let's move on. I'm disgusted with the lack of support. All right. Well, Carlos Sainz. Clearly, I don't think we're going to agree on this anyway, but Like, wasn't on the same level as the front two. Apparently, my opinion, but apparently Leclerc wasn't on the same level as Perez either, according to Scotty. But I don't think Carlos Sainz was on the same level as Leclerc and Perez. But he did enough though for P3. I mean, we were like 16 laps in. He was already sort of complaining that he was struggling with the tires, and he started, after that complaint came in, we saw him start dropping back as well into the clutches of Lewis Hamilton. And maybe though, I have a feeling maybe he got a bit of good fortune though today, Sainz. I think maybe he was at the mercy there of Hamilton.
Yeah, because Sainz was a bit lucky today. The fact that Hamilton had a few issues, it kind of helped Sainz to hold the P3. Otherwise, the way that the race was going, Hamilton would be able to take Sainz. Not the car, but the tires they were not the best, and it was one of the reasons why Leclerc was not able to get Perez as well, because there were times where the tires were too hot and need to cool down. So that's why sometimes we see Leclerc with a huge gap between Perez and Leclerc. So the same thing with Sainz.
Yeah,
but the problems with Hamilton help Sainz, and Norris would never be able to get Sainz.
Yeah, no, I think he would. I don't think he would have dropped back much further than that, but I think he certainly probably would have lost. There was a podium there to be lost. You know, had things not panned out the way it was. But I mean, they're 137 points now behind Red Bull. I mean, they've gained a little bit of ground today. I mean, look, I know what the answer is going to be, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. So either of you can answer on this one. Any hope in the final 5 races for the Tifosi, Scotty?
I mean, I'd love to see it. It would make things a hell of a lot more interesting. But I really don't see it happening.
Now, not the driver's title. Let's just say, is there any hope in the constructors' title of both Leclerc and Sainz getting sort of maximizing points, and maybe Perez not picking up as many as expected, or some issues maybe?
I don't know. I say with the win today for Perez, I think that'll push him on a little bit. He'll have a little bit more confidence. We're going to start seeing a few more top 3 finishes now from Perez, I think, from now until the end of the season. And again, there's still I think there's errors in the Ferrari camp. There always is, but I think there's errors there yet to come out. The Clown College wasn't on full display there today, but I don't think that's fully gone from the Ferrari camp. So yeah, I don't see it, to be honest.
And what about yourself, Isidro? Any chance of the constructors going down to the last kind of race or two?
No, I think the title for the constructors is long gone for Ferrari. Although I think they are a little bit better compared with the previous races. At least this time they did not mess up any of their drivers' race. So they definitely learned a few things over the past few weeks. But it's too late to get the title at the moment. I think they should focus on not getting Mercedes rob their place, because today was not an example, but Mercedes is slowly getting stronger and stronger, picking up on Ferrari past errors.
Well, as you say, Mercedes are getting stronger and stronger. I feel that is a perfect segue into our next little question. Mercedes. I mean, okay, it was a great opportunity for Hamilton, and we are seeing the strength of that Mercedes coming. And it was a great chance for him to bag his first race of the season, or bag his first win of the season, should I say. Missed out on pole by literally 5/100ths of a second. Ended up P3, but then race day, then it just started falling asunder for him. I mean, he wasn't comfortable from the get-go. We heard him over the radio complaining about the tires. Later transpired that he actually wanted a used set of inters, and the team apparently didn't have sort of a good enough used set to put him out on for the race start. So he ended up on sort of a fresh set of inters, which he was complaining that the grip was terrible. And then he went full Leroy Jenkins then on an overtake attempt on Carlos Sainz and binned it into the wall. And after the pit stop, then he ended out in a battle, the old battle of champions, where we had Vettel, Hamilton, and Verstappen behind, which I have to say this was shaping up to be a great battle for the end of the race. And then Hamilton then ran wide and was taken by Max, and then Hamilton ultimately just finished P9 then at the end. So I mean, do you think Hamilton's going to take some positives away from this weekend, Isidro? The car still appeared to be quite competitive this weekend and probably strong enough for P3. But how are you thinking he's walking away from this weekend? I'm sure disappointed not to get that P3, but maybe confident in the car a little bit.
Yeah, the car it's definitely the only positive point that I think you can see on the race today.
But I mean, the pain didn't end there for Mercedes, apparently. Russell had a weekend to absolutely forget. I mean, he went out in Q2 in qualifying, took a power unit change, started from the back, and then basically became live data feed for the rest of the team as to how good the slicks, or how good or bad the slicks were. So sort of no surprise he ended up finishing effectively dead last, which was P14. So, and my question on this though was, should he maybe have taken the hit on the next, after he came out on the slicks and it was clear on his out lap? I mean, it was just not going to happen. Should he have taken the hit, then come in on the next lap for a set of inters, and then gamble on the safety car? I mean, it worked out quite well for McLaren, that safety car. And I mean, it's Singapore. There's always safety cars. So should they have maybe run the risk and just say, do you know what, we'll come in for those inters, hope we can make some ground then under a safety car?
Yeah, I mean, you could see it straight away. As soon as he came out of the pits, he was coming out sideways. Every corner that he took on that first lap on the slicks was hairy. And they were saying it on the Sky live commentary as well. It was like, he needs to come in, and we're going to see him in after this lap to get the inters back on again. And you could see he was just dropping back time. Eventually they came in and he was starting to pick up time again, but yeah, he should have come straight back in again.
But by the time he started picking up time, I think like he was 25 seconds back, and they were starting saying, oh, I think his lap times are improving, and then he was dropping back even further, and I was like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, it definitely, for me, I think he could have, if he had come in for those inters, I think he definitely would have gained a bit more ground than he did do. Possibly, I don't know, maybe, I don't know whether a points finish was on, but certainly there would have been something more respectable than the last place.
Yeah.
But I mean, this weekend overall between Lewis and Russell's races, I mean, it really hurt Mercedes in their charge for P2. I mean, unexpectedly, they're in a direct fight now with Ferrari for that second place. I know we were asking about what Ferrari's chances are for Red Bull, but I mean, realistically, the battle is going to be between Ferrari and Mercedes for that P2. But I'm sure they're probably quietly confident that Ferrari would balls it up again along the way. So it'll come back to them anyway, no doubt.
Yeah.
But from a team that it did work out for, as we were saying, McLaren, these guys had a great result today. I mean, P4 for Lando, and more surprisingly, P5 for Daniel Ricciardo, which I'm sure even came as a surprise to him, I would imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably the turning point for their race. I think the turning point definitely for their race was when the safety car came out and everyone else had already taken their pit stops and were out on slicks, and Lando and Daniel were still on their old inters. Safety car comes out, they jump in the pits, and I think they gained something in the region of 15 seconds on that pit stop, which was great. I mean, and then if the day couldn't get any better, their main constructor rivals in Alpine had a double DNF with what we presume is engine failures or something to that effect on both of those cars. We haven't seen any news yet as to the exact cause of it. So let's talk about Ricciardo first. Is this something you'd see Ricciardo build on, Isidro? Maybe finish the season strong, stick himself in the shop window, as it were, for someone to pick him up for 2023, or is that ship sailed and is purely for pride at this stage?
No, I think today was just they just got lucky. the Alpines were gone, and there was a lot. The safety cars, they were lucky as well with the strategy on the safety cars. So the P5 for Ricardo is will not happen again for the rest of the season. While Norris is more consistent that way. Norris P4 today is more his style, so there's no surprise there. But Ricardo, yeah, that ship has sailed. I don't think he can convince any team.
You don't think?
At
Well,
least-
but forget about convincing any other team. Sorry, I'm jumping across here, but forget about convincing any other team. Let's go back to the first part though, about finishing the season strong. Like, do you not think maybe he's got? Okay, yeah, he did get lucky with some results and some DNFs and stuff like that ahead of him. But do you not think maybe he'll draw a little bit of confidence maybe in this?
No, and I'll hit my head in the next podcast. But I think he's going back to his usual P12, P13, that kind of outside top 10.
Oh, right.
He's not in the mood anymore and today was just like not the Ricardo doing this every single race.
All right, I think we know who we can rule out from Isidro's surprise driver in the predictions game. All right, well, from one driver who apparently is never going to finish in the top 10 again for the rest of the season to Lando Norris, P4, usually Mr. P7, but it's P4 today. He sort of finished in no man's land though, with nobody around him today. But with him having the ability to put in results, and look, I think maybe Daniel's going to gain a little bit of confidence from this. So has the results, or has the race, should I say, for P4 and the constructors started to swing in the favor of McLaren, or is it way too early for that? I mean, there are only 4 points in the difference. Could Alpine just come back and sort of pop the party?
Isidro said it there. Lando is the only consistent member of that team. You're saying maybe that Ricardo might take a little bit of confidence from what he's done today, but he had a P6 finish in Australia, and that's the last decent finish that we saw up until today. Like, I mean, I think he's been outside the top 10 or DNFs pretty consistently until today again. I just don't see it from him, unfortunately. He's kind of working. I think his main thing now is he's working on trying to get, advertising for Colgate or something, get that smile out there, get a job for next year. It's not going to happen for them. Lando's the only one towing the line there, and in Alonso and Ocon, I think they've got two fantastic drivers. That's a great team. If they can just keep the car consistent now, I think Alpine should they should breeze that position over McLaren, I'd say.
Do you know what, lads? I started the podcast in such a negative way, and I've tried to end it on a positive note. And you two lads have just shat all over Daniel Ricciardo's potential for the rest of the season. Not even a glimpse of, he'll take a bit of confidence, but I think he'll struggle for the top 10. Just flat out, no confidence. He's done. He'll never see F1 ever again.
Well, we can lie about it if you want to. I don't mind.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Wow, we are not on the same page this week. I like it. All right. Okay, let's finish up here. I want to just finish up with the FIA. And this is a massive topic, so let's just try and keep it brief here. But so quick comment from both of you on this one. What did you make of the way the FIA handles a few of the decisions this weekend? I mean, we had an hour delay for the race start, which I thought was fucking mental. Sorry, I just realized I keep cursing as well. I'm trying to I'm trying to reduce the curse word. Scotty's waiting for the C-bomb to come out and have to hit the bleeper machine again.
I'm not bleeping anything else out. You're done.
We had to cancel last week's episode.
One bleep a season, buddy.
All right. Okay. So anyway, we had an hour delay for the race start, and a lot of people, and especially the pundits, a lot of people on Twitter and stuff like that, including myself, were wondering why the teams couldn't have done their pre-race procedures in the pit lane while the track was being prepped. Which would have sort of meant that they could have then come out and done their sort of, they get a 10-minute window before they come to where the 10-minute window of the pit lane being open, where they sort of do a few laps of the track, come out the pit lane and in the pit lane, and then they go straight to the grid. So I was thinking that, they could have skipped what they do on the grid, do their 10 laps of sort of prep, and then bring it out to the grid for the race start. And I think that's what a lot of people, and like I said, the pundits over on Sky were kind of thinking the same thing. And then next up, then we had the DRS being or the lack of DRS, should I say, being enabled for a large portion of the race, even though the track was clearly drying out enough, and we had most of the drivers at that point for quite a while on slick tires. And then finally, we wrap it up then with a 2-hour delay to decide whether Perez had even won the bloody race or not and what penalty he was going to get. Like, what do you make? I know that there are three massively different topics there to hit the FIA with. But what do you think of their handling of things today, just overall, like, Isidro?
I think the interns that were at Ferrari, they moved to FIA this week, apparently. It was a very messy race. And
they gave a training
FIA
seminar.
Fault. Yeah. The fact that the teams, they have access to wet tires, so they could just start them on the race. And after that, they go back to the pit, get new tires, and just let the race start. I mean, the delay was not the best decision of FIA this week.
Especially an hour delay. I mean, I can understand a short delay in order for the standing water to subside a little bit, send the safety car around, and then maybe do the, as they start their procedure, like I said, that pit lane is open for 10 minutes. So the cars can sort of parade around they usually get maybe 3 or 4 laps in, and it might clear the rest of the standing water to have a race start. Sorry, I'm cutting across you there, but yeah.
Yeah, the rest would have started sooner than the 1 hour delay.
Mm.
And the penalty decisions, that it was only a few hours, but for Checo, for instance, that he'll be waiting to see what I just won the Singapore Grand Prix, and now the FIA is going to say no, we don't, and it will be Charles Leclerc. I mean, that will not be fair, and they definitely need to speed up their decisions. When you see the checkered flag, you want to make sure that the driver is the one that he won the race that moment, and not having to wait 2 or 3 hours for a confirmation from the administration.
Especially as there's more complex incidences that have happened throughout seasons where the FIA have ruled within the race timeline, so we know what penalties are applied at any given time. And then for this one, like you say, for something that's they wanted to hear from Perez first. I'll be honest, they can clearly see what's going on. Surely they can get fairly quick access to the telemetry and stuff like that from the team to be able to make a fairly educated decision as to what was going on. Having someone in to plead their case at the end of a race to sort of sway the jury, as it were, is not a way of ruling whether a penalty and a breach of the rules or the regulations has occurred. What about yourself, Scotty? How do you think the handling went on this weekend?
Well, firstly, I think the FAA are very lucky that it's not last season, because they would have had a GoPro strapped to their head. Netflix cameras would have been in their face looking for them to have a decision. It would have been on Sky Sports Live, just watching them having their talk back and forth. They're behind closed doors. They get to be able to take 2 hours for some reason, whatever that is, to give the results. No, I think that was shocking. And the thing with the DRS, we've seen it already in Imola, where we were waiting and waiting and waiting. I don't understand it. The only explanation I have is that the race directors had a slip or something in the rain on the way to the track. And they're like, no, driving in the wet is far too slippy. We can't. That's very dangerous. We cannot put the DRS on. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. And I say, bring back Michael Massey. You've heard it here first. Bring him back.
Yeah, I can see he's wearing his T-shirt saying # Michael Massey. So
Massey too.
Oh Jesus. Okay. Well, that sort of wraps up the review nicely on for Singapore. All right, let's move on now to the important part of the podcast here, the predictions game. I haven't looked at this, but from what I can remember, I haven't done well.
I don't want to look.
All right. Okay. So let's just get everything up here. Right. Oh Jesus. Right. Okay. I'll call out mine first. Right. Sainz P1, Verstappen P2, and Hamilton P3. I could not have been more wrong.
Nice. Clean slate there, Dave.
Scotty.
Right, fine. I'll call mine out. Verstappen P1, Perez P2, Alonso P3. Genie Mac. What was I
At
thinking?
least you were closer. At least you had Perez just one place out of position there.
Yeah, still terrible though.
Isidro.
Time for me to shine. Verstappen first, Leclerc second, Russell third.
Oh,
I mean,
there he
it's
is.
just disgusting, isn't it? All right, hang on a second. Let me
It's a
go
fluke.
put
That was
all
a
the
fluke.
goose eggs into the table here. All right, flops. It doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better. All right, I went Leclerc, DNF.
At least you had someone who was actually driving in the race. I went for Nick de Vries DNF, which technically is true because he did not finish the race.
No, he had a DNS. He did not start. So that...
All right,
Now, I have
fine.
to say, though, I'll still give you credit that you took the punt.
Yeah.
You took a gamble that if he was there, and I'll give you credit for that. I'm not giving you any points for it, but I'll give you credit for it.
Because two Williams did not finish the race. So it's very likely if he was racing that would have been the case.
But there two Williams was an accident. Actually, before we move on, I'm going to actually jump around here. What did we make of Latifi's? Like, was Latifi? Did he forget what sport he was in? It was like NASCAR. You sandwiched Joe into the into the wall. Like, what the hell happened there?
I'm gonna miss that guy next year.
And he chats on the radio like, "Hey guys, what happened?" And you're like,
Check your mirrors.
You're driving the car, buddy.
"What the hell?" All right. Anyway, so that's Latifi. Yeah. God bless you. Right, Isidro, who did you have as your flop?
Oh, my flop was Sainz DNF.
All righty.
Ouchie.
It's only getting worse from here. All right, surprise. Schumacher, top 10.
When are you going to learn?
I was putting 1 point in there. I don't know. I was getting carried away. All right, no, 0. Surprise.
Yeah, mine
Scotty.
wasn't any better. I had a Bottas top 10.
Again, you were only one place out. He finished P11.
Yeah, which was surprising because he's been DNFing all over the place.
Yeah. He finished the race.
Yeah. Go Bottas.
Go Bottas, but no points for Scotty.
Yeah.
Isidro.
I got Albon top 10.
All right. Goose egg. So, as I said, this is a very easy one to calculate here, as there's a lot of zeros on the board here. Isidro takes the victory again this week. So, let's just go and update the table here.
He's
And
crawling
coming
his
for
way
the
back.
first place.
This means that I'm still in first
Oh
on
my
7
God.
points.
This is heating up.
Scotty and Isidro now tied in second on 6 points apiece.
God.
There's a danger you're finishing last. Actually, there's probably a danger I'm finishing last if I keep my stupid predictions going.
Although technically, alphabetically, I would be second if we were doing it that way.
Well, it might be you might be just be tied for first, and I'll be second and last. my
Yeah.
outside of the box thinking is not going well. All right, so from one train wreck of predictions to the next.
Let's do
All
this.
right. Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm playing it safe for Japan. I'm going Verstappen for the win. Leclerc second.
Oof.
And I think Hamilton's the best driver out of the rest of them. So I'm going to go Hamilton P3. Scotty.
Yeah, I can see your reasoning there. I'm glad you went that way, though. So I have Verstappen P1, which would rule us both out if that happens. Perez P2 and Charles Leclerc P3.
You're jumping on the Perez bandwagon.
Yes, it's. I think it's two Red Bulls, 1-2 anyway. High downforce, baby.
Jesus, it's not. It's medium downforce track. But
Is Japan not high downforce? Pretty sure it is.
I think it's a medium downforce track. Do you know what? Let's just
I don't know, Dave. Can I have a point if it's high downforce?
let's just wreck the fucking the listeners' heads by checking.
Everyone's probably Googling at home now.
Oh, bollocks, you're right. It's high downforce. Why did I think it was a medium downforce? I'm such an idiot.
You're such a noob, Dave. Jesus.
Such an absolute rookie. Oh,
So
actually,
good.
in fairness, probably still would have gone with the same prediction. So,
Yeah.
all right, Isidro, did you know whether it was a high or medium downforce track?
No, not on top of my head.
All right, let's go then. What did you have, or what do you have?
Science DNF.
Oh, wait, hang on a second. You have jumped the gun. We're talking about
Oh.
your top three.
Sorry. Max.
Wait,
He
hang on a
won.
second. Have you just given us next week's, or have you just completely had a matrix glitch and have given us your Singapore flop again?
Uh,
All right, top three.
Max Verstappen first.
Now, this is your
Charles-
top three for Japan, Isidro.
Yeah.
Japan.
high downforce. High downforce.
Okay, high downforce Japan.
Max first. Charles Leclerc second.
Leclerc
Russell.
second.
George Russell third. Not Lewis Hamilton.
So, hang on a second.
That's the
That is your same. That's the same as Singapore. Are you sure? I'm going to double check with you now, Isidro.
Yeah, it is.
All
The rain
right.
just messed up my calculation. That was it.
All right.
Now,
Um,
if his things are science DNF and then Albon top 10, we're going to start to ask questions here.
we're going to have to jumpstart Isidro.
I think he just had a stroke or something.
Pull the tractor around. We'll get the jump leads going. Um,
What's your
all right,
flop,
my
Dave?
flop is Perez DNF.
Oh,
I'm not getting on board with the hype train.
boo.
I'm bringing it. I'm bringing him down to earth. Like use berated Daniel Ricciardo's
Come on.
P5 victory
Ricardo and Perez are not the same league.
and lowered him. So I'm going to do the same, and I'm gonna drop Perez into a DNF.
Ouch.
Who have you gone for the flop?
My flop, hold on, I have to open it back up again, is Sainz DNF.
Sainz
Does not
DNF.
finish. I think he's going to smack it into a wall. Oh, no,
Inte-
wait. Not into a wall, into another car.
Well, you don't get any extra points regardless of what happens. So.
Yeah, DNF, but I think he's going to smack it into another car.
Now, everyone take a collective sigh here or deep breath. And Isidro, please give us your flop for Japan.
Actually, I'm going to change my mind on the DNF.
Oh, no! I'm
That's-
just getting the jumper leads ready.
Yeah. I was wait for the flat line. Beep. All right,
I'm
go
going
on.
to say both Aston Martins outside top 10.
They are usually outside the top 10, are they not?
Yeah, I mean, they had a good race today, though, in fairness.
But-
I'd be inclined to give him that, I think.
Just because he's doubling up on both.
Yeah, because it's a double, yeah. And
not
because I
being-
want this podcast to end at some stage today.
All right, okay. Aston Martin,
You just give
Double.
in.
double DNF. Was it signs though?
Yeah, it was.
Jumper leads.
All right. My surprise. Oh, my surprise. Daniel Ricciardo,
it's not-
top 10.
Ah, Jesus. Well,
Oh,
at
it's
least-
not Aston Martin double DNF. It's Aston Martin outside top 10. So
Oh, yeah.
not DNF
Oh.
guaranteed.
All right. Blame Scotty for that. He made me panic.
Sorry. I was all
Aston
over you on
Martin.
that one.
Outside
Outside top 10.
top 10.
So you're going Danny Ricciardo top 10.
Inside the top 10, yeah.
Oh, interesting. So you're giving Mick Schumacher a reprieve this week, so he might actually finish inside the top 10.
He might do, yeah. I'm giving him a chance to save his career.
Lovely. Okay, stay away from Mick Schumacher, please. Albon top 10 finish, I think.
Albon top
The
10.
L Williams, good in a straight line.
No, yeah, but they're good in a straight line in a low downforce track.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about, but anyway, Albon top 10
Look,
finish.
I can't say much. I haven't scored. I haven't got a win in ages.
Yeah.
Now here we go. Now the big the big one. Isidro, what's your surprise?
Yuki Tsunoda, top 10.
Oh,
No,
He's playing home, so he's gonna try
Yeah.
to get the point at least.
he's still Yuki Tsunoda though.
Yeah, but it's playing Japan, so otherwise at the end of the race he needs to take the cadena out and that's it. End of Yuki. Full samurai honor. So-
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that's not a bad shout.
Or he could just commit Harry Carey and
That's
that's the
been
end
his
of his
season
race.
so far. Has been
Yeah.
that.
All right. Well, I think that's going to be interesting now for next week. There's some interesting predictions there. But for this week, that's the end of this week's episode. We'll be back next week for the Japanese Grand Prix, so make sure to tune in. As always, get your questions and comments and corrections. Who cares? Send them on to feedback at Late Night Race Review or anywhere you see us on social media. Until next week, though, guys.